Welcome back, ballroom dance friends. Today we are answering a question in the comments by one of our ballroom dance friends, Alan Coletta. And Alan says, "Hi Sunny, love watching your videos. Thanks. Any tips on finding the two in Mambo? And would you go over a good Mambo basic? Thanks." Okay, huge question here. Might have to be addressed in a couple videos, but first and foremost, let's talk about the music. If you dance on time, I can follow pretty much anything. In my opinion, part of the reason we generally begin American rhythm with a rumba and a cha-cha is these beats are easier to hear. In my opinion, Mambo is one of the much harder musical rhythms to follow dancing, unless you grew up with a dance training. And I think salsa is even harder. And so I'm going to go over today, maybe from a different perspective than your teachers approached it, although I'm sure they're sharing the exact same information. But I do find often dance teachers are naturally very musically inclined. And so they talk about, the feel, will you hear this? And I think sometimes it might help some people to have a little bit of a more of a empirical approach to the music. And the nice thing about music is there is actually a heavy mathematical foundation. So if you understand music a little bit better that way, maybe this will hit the sweet spot. Also, guys, it's difficult to communicate sometimes on YouTube because I don't want to have a copyright infringement. So I'm not going to play Mambo music on here unless they pull my video or my whole channel. But I am going to clap the beats. I'm going to show you the beats. And I would do that anyway if I were teaching a private lesson. So let's get started. Okay, number one suggestion for the music. Please invest in a Mambo dance CD. Now, I'm not talking about a generic Mambo Kings or something where they're going to have other rhythms mixed in there. I'm talking about a ballroom dance Mambo CD. You can find these probably as cheap as $4 used on Amazon, on eBay. So in your search term criteria, write ballroom dance Mambo CD. Here's the awesome part about these CDs. Often I find that they have several what they call teaching tracks, and they might even list it in the song kind of layout as teaching track 1, teaching track 2. Because the Mambo music has many layers of beats, it's not like a waltz where pretty much the whole orchestra is doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In Mambo, we have different types of instruments playing totally different rhythms, and they're layered upon layered upon layered, which can make it a little more challenging to hear. And so anyway, buy that CD that contains a teaching track, because they will gradually layer on instruments with each teaching track. They'll start with the congo, they'll add the clave, they'll add the boho. And so you start to visualize how that music is structured. It'll help you hear that to be easier. Okay, so let's break this down for you in terms of actual music and how music functions. Okay, so this is a staff. So Mambo music is always written in 4/4 time. That means we have 4 beats in each measure. This is a quarter note. Each of those notes represents 1 beat. So if I were to count out this measure, it would sound like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when we get into more advanced dancing, as you progress, you will count that instead in sets of 2 measures, so 1 through 8. And then definitely by the time you get into championship level, you're phrasing in terms of bars, sets of 8 and 16 bars, but don't worry about that for today. Today, I just want you to learn to hit that 2 beat. Okay, next up, if you're looking at written music on a staff, we have some different symbols that represent different lengths of time, okay? So this is the quarter note we just talked about. Quarter meaning it takes up 1/4 of the measure. So 1/4 of 4 beats is 1 beat. Okay, this is a half note. That takes up 2 beats. So I would count this if I had a whole series of half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of those half notes takes up 2 beats. Okay, this is a whole note. This is 4 beats. And actually, now that I think about it, I won't talk about that today. But we do need to talk about an 8th note. Because unlike, you could have an entire foxtrot song with nothing but quarter notes, quarter beats, this sort of thing. Okay, you're never going to hear that with Mambo. You're going to have a huge mix of this stuff, okay? A lot of syncopations. When I have a syncopation, it is an extra fast, either break or a step. And that is shown in an 8th note or an 8th, there's an 8th rest as well. For today's purposes, I'm going to try and make this as simple as possible. So if I were to count 8th notes, that means there's 8 of those that fit in the 4 beats. So if I were counting that out, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's 8 beats in the 1 measure. Okay, now for Mambo specifically, the instrument we are looking for is called the Congo drum. Just YouTube Congo music and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll recognize that sound. It's quite distinct when you hear it. Okay, now the good thing about Mambo music is the Congo drum almost always strikes on the 2 and the 4 beats. And in Mambo, we will always want to do a break step on the 2. Many people accidentally do the 1. There are some reasons for that. I won't go into that today. That's so you will really intentionally, initially need to think about step on the 2, not the 1. Wait, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. But musically, you know that Congo, well, most of the time is going to hit on my 2, 4, 2, 4. Or if I were to kind of do the beats with my fingers, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, the teaching track hopefully will have just a solo Congo. So you're like, oh, that's when I dance. That's when I dance. Okay, the next music instrument / rhythm that's overlaid on top of the Congo is called the clave. So the clave is like kind of 2 fat little drumsticks. The etymology of these rhythms and this instrument is actually African. And so they're made of 2 hardwood sticks that you tap together. Again, type in clave in YouTube and when you hear the sound, you will recognize it from now on. That would be spelled C-L-A-V-E, clave. So the clave beats are quite a bit more complicated. They tend to be, of these basic rhythms, the most complex. Okay, guys, put your seatbelt on. Now, obviously, there are variations between songs, but I'm breaking this down as simple as I possibly can today in a way that hopefully speaks to your soul. Musicians, I understand this is actually not a half note, but for the sake of dancing, I'm going to write this as quarter rests. Because when I'm teaching dance, I find people tend to understand the rhythm best when they do count in their head, kind of in a silent whisper, the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, instead of the 1, 3, 4. Especially when people are kind of learning timing, they tend to go a little off the rails. So I'm going to write it out like this today. Okay, so as you just heard, the first 4 beats in a mambo with the clave are going to be 1, 2, knock, knock, 1, 2, knock, knock. And it's these 2 hardwood sticks that make kind of a high-pitched wood knocking sound. Okay. Unfortunately, the clave has different beats going on in the 5, 6, 7, 8 beat. For today, I'll just call it 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it makes more sense if you're trying to learn that music. So this second measure, if I were to count this out, this is an 8th rest. This is an 8th note, so that's just a 1/8 of the measure. I would say 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. This is 1, 2, silent. 3, click. 4, click, click. 1, 2, click, click, click. Okay, so if I were to count out this rhythm for you guys, in terms of pretend I'm playing a clave here. Oh my gosh, let me see if I can multitask here. I'm trying to do this for the camera and hold this and click my teeth. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the clave rhythm, and that is on top of the congo. Notice these are 2 totally different emphasis and kind of songs going on at once. Okay, the final rhythm, you're almost always, I can't think of an exception, I'm going to hear on top of the clave, they add the bass. Now, to make things more confusing, the bass is only a 4-count beat, but it emphasizes the 3, 4, and not the 1, which is the start of the measure, or the 2 when you're supposed to be breaking. So again, very important to count these beats. So the bass rhythm, this is a quarter rest, or half rest if you have dance music training. And these are 2 quarter notes. So this sounds like when you hear that bass, kind of boom, boom, or the boho, is what we would call it in mambo, but it's the bass if you speak English. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to try and lower my voice. I know my voice is horrible. I sound like Minnie Mouse, but I'm going to try and emphasize that 3, 4. So you can know what to kind of listen for in that music. Okay, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, guys, don't laugh at me. I'm doing my best here. Okay, so again, what makes the mambo kind of hard for many people to hear coming out of the chute is that you have all this different, it's almost like hearing 3 songs at once. And then, as that music gets even more intricate from there. For today's purposes, I'm trying to break this down as simple as possible. So, again, we break on the 2 beat, but the music, might have impulses totally elsewhere. My little cheat is I listen for the conga beats. That's the congo drums, they're pretty reliably on the 2 and the 4. So, and in mambo, generally you break on the 4 too. Sorry, you can't see my feet here. I'm busy showing music, but maybe I can show with my fingers. So it's 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully that makes sense. And most of the people on this channel, I believe, are competitors. Even if you don't do rhythm, I'm assuming you probably have experience with mambo. Very similar to a salsa, but generally in the basic, we step side on the 4 instead of together. So if you do salsa, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, there's some different knee action and breaking action and the leg shaping there. But anyway, break on the 2. And final super helpful hack, guys. I suggest this to all of my dancers who struggle with any music. do yourself a favor and count along to the beats of the radio when you're in the car, or your, Apple Music, whatever you're listening to. This day and age, almost all music is going to be 4/4 timing, which also happens to be the Mambo timing. So that's very handy. Whether it's a fast song, a rock song, a classic song, think counting along to the song in the car. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we get a little more advanced, we add a lot more phrasing to that, but just counting along is going to help you not have to micromanage the music and when to time that body movement with those beats. It'll just make it much more easier for you to manage the dancing on top of everything else. So guys, I hope that's been helpful. These videos are in no way a substitute for your private lessons. I can't see what you're understanding, how you're hearing it. Maybe you're hearing something totally different than my intent. So definitely, follow up with your pro. If there's anything I said that's unclear, I suspect what you're hearing today is very complimentary to what they're teaching you. It's probably, hopefully, just in a different way to help you visualize what you've been taught and what you're working on. So thank you so much for your sweet words, Alan, and for your question, guys. I love questions. Oh my gosh, you make my job so easy. I honestly kind of waste a lot of time figuring out what you guys might want to hear. And so I can't tell you how much I appreciate when you guys ask questions. Super helpful for me. I so appreciate it. So if you're interested in all things ballroom dance, hey, subscribe to this channel. We are a worldwide community of ballroom dancers here. We all share in this complete joy that ballroom dancing brings us, and are kind of aspiring to be the best dancer that we can be. So guys, have a wonderful day. I look forward to seeing you first thing in the morning. Happy dancing!